Pilots used to work exclusively for the commercial and military sector. Not anymore. Today, many amateurs get their pilot's license and take to the skies in light aircraft, not for a day's pay, but for the sheer pleasure of flying. To construct the body of a light aircraft like these, you need to start with two types of cloth. One woven from fiberglass, the other from carbon fibers. Carbon is a chemical element that's stronger than steel. Both materials go through a laminating machine that coats them with an epoxy resin. To begin forming the various parts that make up the body, the workers lay strips of the laminated fabric into moulds. Blueprints dictate the precise positioning of the strips, which is critical for strength and durability. Carbon fibre cloth is laid in where extra strength is needed, without additional weight. To make the fuselage, they sandwich a foam core about 10 millimeters thick between two layers of the fiberglass cloth. The foam also insulates against heat, cold and noise. Workers coat the edges and joints with resin, filling any voids. Now it's time to vacuum bag it. The first step is to cover everything with a layer of perforated plastic, followed by a breather cloth, then another layer of plastic. A vacuum pump is attached to suck out all the air. The excess resin exits through the tiny holes in the plastic and soaks into the breather cloth. Now that the mould is airtight, it can begin to cure in an oven at 40 degrees Celsius for 8 hours. Once the moulds come out of the oven, workers can install the internal structure. Then, using the same epoxy resin they used earlier to laminate the fiberglass and carbon fibre fabrics, they bond the tail's upper and lower shells together. They do the same with the wings. After an overnight cure, the moulds are turned out. Next stop is the trim shop. Workers remove excess fiberglass and cut out the windows. The parts go back for a final curing, this time at 80 degrees Celsius. 18 hours later, they exit and are sent to the paint shop, where workers sand the parts and coat them with an epoxy primer. Then a finishing coat of polyurethane is added, which resists weathering. Meanwhile, other workers assemble and test various components, such as the electrical system. And a computer guides a machine to cut all the metal parts. The cutting machine doesn't have a blade. It uses a sand and water jet that's powerful enough to cut through metal. An aircraft welder prepares the engine mount, the base that will hold the engine in place. It's made of a high-grade carbon steel. At the final assembly stage, workers install the engine and other previously assembled components into the fuselage. Workers position the wiring and plumbing, then hook them up, then screw on the wingtips. An avionics technician powers up the aeroplane for the first time to test all the functions. The final inspection takes place where it really counts. Chocks away and happy flying.